Hi there. So this video, the purpose is threefold. Firstly, I want to show you how to set up the add-on, get it working. Secondly, I want to show any common issues you might run into and how to resolve those issues. And then third, I want to show a video of actually killing Solak with the add-on to explain the Solak specifics so that if you're using it for Solak, everything in the add-on makes sense. So when you download the add-on and extract it, you'll get something like this. All these DLLs, if you don't want them, you can delete them and get your own versions of them. But you need these DLLs. If you don't have them, the add-on will not work. These aren't things I've created. These are publicly available libraries that you can download if for whatever reason you don't trust the versions I've provided. But to get the add-on working, you're looking for this. Just double click. And bam, this is what you'll get. Now, this is a debug prototype. This is not intended to be like, this is how it will look when it's finished, yada yada yada. The reason this looks like this is so that it is very easy to diagnose exactly what's going wrong if something goes wrong. So the first thing you're going to encounter is that this window, when it first starts, it's really slow to respond to anything. The reason for that is the update cycle on it is, like how fast the window refreshes, is really slow because it's trying to find these. It's trying to find the damage area, and it's trying to find the chat area. And because I'm not in RuneScape, you can't see either of those. The window is also really big, like this is a 19 something by whatever monitor. It's not really intended for you to play the game with this up on your window. Personally, I have two screens, so I just drag the add-on over here. I do have OBS set up to give a smaller version of it though, so that's just this window here, except, yeah. Anyway, so we log in, and what should immediately happen is it'll find the damage area on my screen. Okay, so it's found it. The damage area on my screen is this here. This is the value. So on the window, I'm just going to drag the big version because I can't point to the little version. Obviously this says it's found the damage area. This value here, whatever it puts here for you, is supposed to be this value here. If it's not, like, can I hide that? I don't want to mess around with it. If this value isn't this value, something has gone wrong. What that something is, I have no idea. But there you have it. That should be the very first thing that works when you log in. It'll also dramatically increase your performance as soon as it finds that, because it doesn't have to look for the whole screen. This, by the way, doesn't have to be here. This can be anywhere on your screen, but it has to be visible, and there has to be a little bit of space at the side. Don't worry about why there has to be a little bit of space there, but like this, I mean, if I move it, it'll bug out, right? If I move this, it's immediately not going to find the damage area, because it thinks it's up here and it's not going to recheck for it, but like, you could have it here, 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 here. Doesn't matter. As long as you have it wherever you have it and don't move it after you start up the add-on, it'll be fine. Of course, I'll have to restart it because I've moved it slightly. So, 1 second. Okay. The next thing it's looking for is the chat area. This is only relevant if you're killing Solak. Now, to get it to find the chat area, all you have to do is enter any instance. This is the message it's looking for. The arena will expire in however many minutes. As soon as it sees this, it knows where the chat area is, and like everything else can progress. If you're just going to use this for Slayer to try and debug the damage thing, I still recommend entering a boss instance just because as soon as it's found the chat area, it stops looking over the whole screen for it. It's just, I mean, if you don't really notice any performance hits, it's fine, you don't need to do it. The other thing is it knows which boss you're trying to do. Well, it might not right now because I've just started in solo or duo, but yeah. On this, it's looking for this here, the title for the boss. So like, for 7 man it just says Solak, but for duo it says Solak duo mode. So that's how it decides which boss you're doing. So it sees that window, it sees your chat window after it's focused, and it looks at the damage window. That is all the information that the add-on has access to, and it's like everything it works out is derived. Did I really not have my max cape? Everything it works out is derived from those values. Okay, so common issues. The most common issue is your UI needs to be opaque. So I should do that slower. So escape, settings, interface. This needs to be here. If it's not, then I'm pretty sure if I slide this up, it will just lose the damage value. Oh wow, really? Oh yeah. See, like it thinks it's got 27,000 because it can't see the rest. So this needs to be opaque. Absolutely must be. The other issue is it cannot be on legacy mode. So that would be gameplay settings, this legacy interface skin. It cannot be checked. It must be unchecked. Additionally, your rune metrics window, which this will not work without. A lot of times, well, I say a lot of times, when I tried to get it working earlier for a friend, this was transparent. Even though the rest of it was opaque, this was transparent. That's just, I think it defaults to that, but you just click here, click metrics, toggle off lightweight mode. What was the other one? Oh yeah, if you're on a different chat window, you might not get the arena was present. Yeah, so if I was on like trading assistance, I wouldn't see it. It doesn't really matter which of these windows you're on, but you just need to be able to see this message. And wherever this message is on your screen, like the first time it sees it, that's where it'll think the chat window is. So if, for example, you didn't get the message and then you get a bunch of spam in your chat and then you fixate on it, like, if I just started that on now, it would think the chat window is here instead of down here where it's actually supposed to be. So make sure that is the first message in the chat window. This is relevant because in the Solak encounter, if you're using it for that, it uses the chat to determine which phase it's in. Was there any other comment? Oh yeah. If this is your first time using the rune metrics window, anytime you get experience in here, it's gonna create like a new little subcategory, and if that moves the damage, like if this gets shifted down one, it's gonna lose the damage value. I don't really know how you stop that happening in the first place, but what you probably could do is just go to the Lumbridge dummies and try and... No, that wouldn't work. Go to anything you can kill, like any monster like a chicken, and just like kill it with whichever style you're using. If you get an XP value up here, then just like right click it and either... Personally I removed them. I think hiding would work too, but I just removed everything except the damage and the gold. And that takes a while because you'll start getting experience for things you're not really anticipating getting experience for. Like if you're ranging but using like lunars, you'll start getting like magic experience and yada yada. Like this value here needs to stay here for the add-on to work. And if it changes, you either need to restart the add-on or get it back to where it was. Either one should work. Is there anything else? If there's anything else, I'll edit it in later. Okay, so now I need to stop the add-on because I'm going to show a video, which will not work because the pixels aren't identical. So I'm just going to quickly go through a video of Solak that I have with the add-on up, and I'll explain what it's looking for at each phase so that you can figure out for yourself, like, how it's calculating things, yada yada yada. Alright, let me get this up. Wait, I need to not show this right now. I'm just gonna fixate on this window again. Ugh, I'm an idiot. Okay. Solak, full screen. This add-on, by the way, it's not like the Telos one. You can't just use any video to look at it. It has to be really, really high quality. And even this, which I captured on indistinguishable quality on OBS, it's not identical. Like, I have to actually use my version of the program in Visual Studio for this and have it tweaked very slightly so that it works with this, because like these values are so small that like there must be like a pixel somewhere lost in compression, and it thinks this is like 17 million for some reason. So I have to, yeah, it's not ideal. Works perfect in game, but not here. All right, work you bugger. This is painful. I can't move it. Hang on. If I make this smaller, it won't be able to catch it. Then I can move it. Aha! I got it. Okay. So, like I said, the first thing it finds is the damage value. The next thing, you can't get any confirmation for this, but it's looking for like the Solak dual mode. Then the chat area, as I showed at the start of the video. Okay, now, from this point on, it will save whichever value it has starting this fight as like your starting damage value. So like in that case it's like 7.13 million, and that way it can determine how much damage you've dealt. Now your damage will not update in real time. So as you can see, my total damage dealt value in like the middle of the screen, it's not going up. The reason for that is real-time damage reporting, it would be extremely intensive. I'd have to like be looking at everything on the screen constantly, and it's not worth it to make the to risk. You don't want like lag at a bad time in the fight, right? Like you don't want lag at the start of phase 4 when you've got to do everything perfect, yada yada yada. So it's only looking for damage values at areas I've marked, and then working out your damage for the phase 4 there. So for this one, I consider the start of phase 1 to be from when the encounter starts to when he goes into the arms and legs phase. So that will be the first value that gets calculated. It's under phase 1 boss/roots. That is the damage you have dealt in phase 1 until he went to the arms and legs phase. And since this is a video, I'm going to skip ahead until I get to that phase. This should probably be soon from here. So what you'll see is the add-on is looking for the boss's nameplate for either his left arm or his right arm, at which point it will fill in the values for total damage dealt and boss/roots damage. So you should see as soon as I target the arm, yep. So my total damage dealt so far is 266,000. I've then split up this phase into arms damage, leg damage, and core damage. Now for the arms, it can work out your allies' damage because the arms have a fixed health amount, so your allies' damage is obviously however much you did, minus that fixed amount. So here I do, it's looking for the legs nameplate by the way. So I did 72,000, and my ally consequently must have done about 47,000. That makes sense. I'm sunshining there specifically to get through that phase. He def swiftness here. And now again, it's just looking for the core, at which point it will update the legs damage. Pardon me. Okay, so you can see the legs are a lot closer because my sunshine wore off, but I still have the detonate going off. Here he's doing a def swiftness rotation into the core and I'm onslaughting. I thought the onslaught would do more damage, but I've actually seen this before, so I happen to know that my core damage is not amazing here. Okay, so this sort of exemplifies what I'm saying earlier. I can work out my allies' arms and leg damage because those are fixed values, but for the core damage, I can see that I did 58,000, but since I'm not tracking the boss health or the core health, I have no idea at this point in the fight how much damage my ally did, so that will not be updated at this point. This is back to phase 1, it cycles, so until we get back to the arms and legs, it's not going to update any values. But you can see that so far, up to and including the core, I've done 450,000. But let's skip ahead. Even if I wanted to like skip ahead of this, I have to actually see it because It's very like procedural. Like it can't skip to phase 2 without seeing the arms, the legs, the core, since that's how you get to phase 2. Okay, so you can see my next phase 1 damage, which was slightly less than the first one. Makes sense, I don't get a free sunshine. Next we'll have the arms damage update as soon as I target the legs. There we go. I must have really sucked there, apparently. It's kind of thing I like about it. I've used it a few times since this recording and testing it. It's kind of nice whenever being able to look across my second screen and be like, man, my arms damage really sucked there, but I nailed those legs, you know? It's just nice. Okay, so here, it's going to kill the core, which will obviously record my core damage. Solak will then perform his emote in the chat box, which signals the start of phase 2, which will fill out the phase 1 totals row, which I will now go over. Actually, I'm not going to go over because I want to talk briefly about something that's relevant to phase 2. So phase 2 is really, really inaccurate in this phase because of the Blight Storm. So if you see my damage values before we go up here, it's at 7.99 million, right? This core, each of these hits counts. It's so garbage. I just get randomly increased by like 80,000 damage for nothing. So in the final version, I'll probably separate this into like phase 2 part 1 until the Blight Storm goes away, and then phase 2 part 2, which will be the rest of it. But as it is right now, phase 2 is just all of phase 2. But anyway, back to the phase 1 totals. So right now, currently it assumes that the boss's health was capped, which meant you got to 2.25 million. In a final version, I'll probably actually check the boss's health to see if that's the case. But that means we can actually figure out like how much damage your ally did. So obviously, if the boss's health was 2.25 million and he started with 3 million, that means 700 and whatever 50,000 damage had to be done to the boss, plus 160,000 damage to account for all the roots that were spawned. So you can work out your ally's damage from just looking at your damage and taking it away from the total HP damage that had to be done. That's how we can work that out here. The arms damage is just adding your two arms phases together, and likewise for your ally. Same with the legs. The core, it's similar to the phase damage. We know that the total core value is 250,000. We have the amount of damage we did. We can take that away from 250,000 and work out how much our ally did. I am not actually tracking my ally's damage. I'm just inferring it from knowing my own damage. And the 7-man version, it's the same principle, but I just had to do like your average ally damage, which is just assuming there's 7 people, working out the health values, working out the remaining damage, and then dividing that value by 6, which should give you the average damage your allies are dealing, which you can then compare your own damage to. Let's skip ahead to phase 3. I'll leave it from here. Again, the phase 2, it assumes that Solak was capped going into it, and assumes he's capped going out of it. So here you can see that the values are way higher than Solak actually has in health. It's because of the core. I tried to look at videos I had and infer the core's damage. I guessed it had 350,000 in duo. I have no idea how much it has in 7-man. I'm just going to take a guess. That's the best I can do unless anyone actually knows. So yeah, these values aren't as useful as phase 3 and phase 4 values just because of the core inflating them. I'm just going to skip ahead here. Phase 3, for duo mode, it does not include the 250,000 on error 4. It's my experience that most duos do not kill error 4. I know some do, and I'll try to account for that in the final version, but in this version, does not include that 250,000. In the 7-man version, it does include the 500,000 because most 7-mans I've seen do actually kill Era 4. Where are we? Skipping ahead. Incidentally, this is something I do, which I don't see other people doing, and I don't really understand why. I make sure to finish charging him up on the sigil that's right in front of where he's going to be in that phase. There's no running around in the phase. You can set up for your flanking, yada yada yada. I don't know. It's just something I do. And again, the add-on will just assume that this guy was health capped going into the phase. Okay, so phase 4 starts, so we get the phase 3 values. We can see that I am being hard carried by my DPS in phase 3. Okay, this is pretty cool. This is one of the useful things I got into the program. So, as a tank, when you go downstairs, your damage to the minions is completely irrelevant. And the program actually will not... It'll save your damage value as soon as you go downstairs, because as soon as you go down here, but assuming you go down here, you get this debuff. As soon as it's... Oh, you can't see the debuff. Well, trust me, you get a debuff. As soon as you get that debuff, it stops working out your damage value. So all this reflect damage, all this damage I'm doing to the minions to build adrenaline, it does not get added into my damage value for phase 4, because it's not relevant to the phase. The only damage that matters here is the damage I actually did to Solak before I went down. And recording any other damage would just be useless. So you will see when the fight ends. I did 93k damage to Solak before I went down, and my partner did 206,000. The first version I had of the program did not do that. I just was like, it's probably not a lot of damage, it probably doesn't matter. Turns out, you actually do like 50 or 60k damage down there. It's crazy. Those ads just do so much damage that the reflect value just adds up so fast. So yeah, that's what all the values mean. The bunch of zeros underneath the phase 1, that's just in case you have to free cycle it. The program won't crash if you 4th cycle, but it will not display values for a 4th cycle. I don't think it's particularly relevant anyway. You would be DPS capped on the boss at that point, so your damage to the boss would be like 0. Your arms damage would be whatever it is. Like, it's just, If you're 4-phasing, something's already gone wrong. I'll probably have to support it in the final version, but not in this version. Again, the purpose of this is mostly to make sure the damage thing is working, the damage tracking. That's mostly it. The fact that it works with Solak is just... I had to pick a fight to do it on. Solak seemed like the most useful fight. It was the most useful one for me personally to have. And it's also, I think, the most complex fight for like damage values to be tracked for. That's why Solak was chosen. But mostly we just want to make sure this damage value always works. Okay, that is everything I have to say here. So, thanks for watching. Give it a try. Let me know if there's any bugs. Thank you.